How's everybody doing? Today's video is going to be a quick review of the Skullcandy Sesh Evo wireless earbuds. I've had these wireless earbuds since I got a phone that had no headphone jack. Just a quick aside about that. As a musician, obviously I was not too thrilled about having to forego a headphone jack on a phone. Granted, for my phone, I personally mainly integrate with Bluetooth in the car anyway. Although up until I had a headphone jack, I would plug in headphones and listen to music off the phone if I was walking around in my apartment. So generally speaking, as an audiophile, as a musician, as anybody that's real into music, you don't want to take a cord away because you lose fidelity. You have to add the complexity of charging it. I mean, it's never something that you would want to necessarily have to deal with if it was really important, like in a live performance setting or even a practice setting. You know, you want to kind of reduce the amount of complexity that you have. But that being said, when I got my phone last year, I had no headphone jack, and I also didn't want to buy the earbuds that they no longer include because they're trying to basically remove the headphone jack. They don't give you the free earbuds, but you got to pay for this $200 set of earbuds, and I was like, screw that. I think it was like $150. So in order to work around buying the Samsung Galaxy Buds or whatever the hell, I just got this cheap set of Skullcandy Sesh Evo earbuds. I think it was like maybe $40 off Amazon. So very inexpensive. I mean, the reason why I got these is because in the past I have used cheap earbuds that were wired by Skullcandy, and I kind of had an expectation from that, which is that the response range is really not very good. They're not very clear, but they can typically bump a lot of bass, which is acceptable if you're going to be on an airplane anyway. You just sort of stick those things in your ear and you just bump some music, and it doesn't really matter that if it's a monitor or just a bass heavy earbud. So I got these thinking, you know, they can probably bump some bass and they're not going to be very clear, but they should get pretty loud and have, I think they claimed like 6 hours of battery life, something like that. So they weren't very expensive, so it's not like what I'm about to say is not the end of the world, but they did disappoint me compared to other Skullcandy products that I've used over the course of years. So basically you get a decent construction. I mean, bear in mind, these are pretty cheap. There's a sort of soft textured plastic holding case. So you charge it from the back there. It's just a hinged case. On the front, it tells you how much battery life you have, although that's not totally accurate in my experience. So these headphones are pretty much dead, and it's showing that they have half battery. Now, if you open it up, it should show the earbuds coming on with the red lights. And here's where one of my complaints is going to be. So there's not a very good connection between the actual pieces that charge the headphones, meaning the metal contact, and the case, because they charge through the case. So a lot of the time, if I put an earbud back, it won't charge right away. So you have to kind of like slam it in order to get them to start charging. So there, you know, if I just put that in normally, that one's not charging. If I take it and just like slam it in, then it starts charging. And the red light being where it starts to charge. So that's a little bit inconsistent. I had an experience where I had these in the case when I was traveling. I thought they were charging up, and then one side died on me before the other side. But to take them out of the case, you've got just basically a pretty nice form factor, just barely what you need for an earbud. You know, they're really nothing to complain about there. You can see the two contacts where it charges, the size of it there. It's got a little noise canceling rubber thing. So You know, not bad. You can see the microphone on it, on the front of it there for Bluetooth. So you can use this to talk on the phone. You know, they're not a bad size. I mean, I'll put them in here and you can see just sort of, you know, they're not terribly big. I like the form factor of them. I think they're very comfortable to have in. So, I mean, those are pros. See if I can slam these back into the case and make them charge. See, look at that. I slammed them both and I only really still got one. So that's what you have to watch out for. So those charging contacts. So as far as the actual audio experience, they are about as bass heavy and lacking clarity as I thought they would be when I ordered them, because that's kind of the thing with Skullcandies. However, with that being said, the actual total sound output of those earbuds is kind of quiet. So it is bass skewed, but it's not really loud enough for my preference. So I found myself, when I used those traveling on an airplane, that I had the volume all the way up and it was still not as loud as I would like it to be. So, I mean, you could still hear it, of course, but it wasn't like real impressive. Whereas like a wired Skullcandy would take a lot of, you know, power from your phone driving it. In that case, would give you a lot more power to your ear. Whereas these on their own battery just don't have a whole lot of output. And then the final drawback, and this is really what kills it for me, is the battery life. At least in my experience, when I had them cranked up as loud as they could go, it fell pretty far short of what the claimed battery life was, probably by 1 to 2 hours. And that was with them being basically brand new. I mean, I kind of tested them walking around at home, but I really wanted to use them just for those moments that I'd be traveling. So, and the fact that they did not last through probably 4 hours of time on an airplane, and then the one side died, and then they both died shortly after, and I was just sitting there like with no way to listen to music, I can't really recommend them. So overall, I would say they are not the best by any means. I mean, they're not expensive, but they're almost not even worth buying them in the first place, because for a $40 set of earbuds, the sound quality is average, which is what you'd expect for that price. The battery life is not very good, and the output is kind of low. So with all that considered, I don't recommend these. If you had really sort of a basic use case for it, I could possibly see it, except for the inconsistency with the earbuds contacting the case to charge, in my experience. I mean, they might not all do that, but that's just been my experience with the set that I have. So hopefully you guys found that video helpful. If you like this video, don't forget to share it and subscribe, turn on notifications, and I will see you guys next time.